our registered madam, principal madam, and my HOD madam. I will like start the session of webinar on basic robotics and IoT. So good evening, everyone. At first, I would like to thank in this that in the today's presentation when mentee becomes the mentor, because it's a huge opportunity at the last of the college life. Because when college put our in such a great topic in today's webinar, so I am very much fortunate to act as a mentor for this webinar. So hello everyone, I am Raktim Pratyar, a student from Electronics and Instrumentation Engineering, fourth year student, and
Student, student, speaker, I just interrupt. Who is Abhishek Das of EIE? Who is Abhishek Das of EIE? Pashuri?
Abhishek
With your
Das.
permission, I am removing. I am removing him.
Yes.
Okay, continue.
okay, sorry. I am Raktim Pratyar.
Please continue.
Yes, today I am hosting the session of webinar on robotics and IoT. My other friends are Orko Mojumdar, Atudip Dey, and Demallo Sadhukan, also please present here on this session. So today's topic is based on the two enormous topic. This is the IoT implementation and basic robotics. So topic is divided in two sessions. First session is IoT implementation, and second session we keep it as basic robotics. First session will be hosted by me, myself, Raktim Pratyar, and Atudip, and the second session will be hosted by Orko Mujumdar and Demallo Sadhukan. So we will start our first session in IoT, Internet of Things. So with all due respect, I will start our today's webinar session. So at first, I will give a little bit presentation outline on that topic is like an outline, but I am directly jump to the main topic. What is IoT? Somebody can please elaborate in students, if anyone know about IoT, then please feel free to answer the question. What is IoT? Does anybody know? Does anybody have any kind of idea? So, okay, without wasting my time, I will continue. So, IoT means at first which thing we have stuck in our mind is that Internet of Things means something we have to control via internet, or it will control from a far distance. So it will be controlled by internet, right? Means the system connectivity part is there. A system which is being connected and controlled by internet. That is the main thing, and that is the main fundamental concept of Internet of Things. And here it will come to the human to machine interference. Why the word human to machine interference is so important? Because it's a machine is controlled by IoT. Means the machine is situated in somewhere in India, and you people, you are the engineer people, are controlling it from somewhere another part of India. So you don't know what the machine will physically do. Just you are giving your inputs, and your machine will operate and act like your inputs. So you don't see the physical output from the machine. So human to machine interference is a most vital point of Internet of Things, and also the control from a far distance is also a vast topic, because IoT, since that some radar or this kind of industrial instruments is being put it in somewhere in the earth, and some guy from USA or some guy from Italy will control it and monitor it and taking the data, carry on their innovations. So that's all like the per corner distance. So now we will enter to the layers of IoT, right? While we have to fix our concentration in that way, while we are starting our thing in IoT, must we have to know that what is the framework, right? How the system will interact and how the system will work in our daily life. That must have to be our concept. So on that basis, here is a presentation with slide. Please look into that. In that topic, IoT means the combination of some things like the devices, embedded softwares, communication between them, and storing the data to the cloud platform. From storing the data to cloud platform, it will give the access and a visualization by application. So in IoT, not only the internet control or software control things, but also the controlling part and the electronic parts is also there. So the IoT will be a somebody has told that my voice is in cut. Is it really to everyone? Voice is broken.
Yeah, yeah. Your voice is not clear actually.
My voice is not clear.
No,
Hello?
it's hello. It's not clear. Roktim, it's not clear.
It's not clear my voice. Hello.
Yes, continue, continue.
Okay. So after that, the layers. What is the layers? Because the data will come to the from the sensors, from the devices, and we have to handle with the data. After that, the embedded electronics means not only the sensors or data. We have to control the data and analyze the data by some embedded electronics things. And those electronics monitoring will be done by the softwares. So the software and hardware communication part is must be done, but it not only the controlling for a little bit distance, means it not only the control from a 100-meter or 110-meter around distance, just like our local industry will do like that, but it needs to store the huge data platform for the future reference purpose, because it's IoT, it's data purpose, so data will be stored in for the future references also. So now coming to the next slide is methodology and implementation purpose. So methodology means in while we are learning to a new technology, we must have to know how the technology will implement in a field. So on that basis, we have prepare some levels, like that. Level zeros are the sensors and actuators, because the sensors and actuators are giving us the data. Seems like that the proximity sensor, seems like the temperature sensor, which will give us the data. According to that, our AC will operate, our AC will turn on or turn off. So in between that, for realizing the data for some embedded electronics system, we must have to know, we must have to some idea in signal processing modules. After that, the signal processing module will handle the data system, and by data logging system, by data handling system, and also. So here I have given some example of some sensors like that in level 0. Those are the some sensors like the temperature sensor. Here is the LM35 sensor, the vibration sensor, which will detect the vibration also. Here I have given the piezo sensor also, where the piezo sensor will give the uh, electrical output. Hello. Is it clear to everyone?
No, it's not clear actually, Roktim. It's not. Your voice is not
Okay.
clear. Your voice is not clear.
My voice is not clear. Tudip, can you hear? Or Orku, can you hear? Hello, Orku.
Yes,
Yes.
I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you.
Orku, can you please continue the further part of PPT, because some problem in my voice and internet.
And
Okay, I will switch the PPT on that.
okay, so is this I continue or Atadip will take over the rest of the part?
Raktim, we can hear you. You can say, we can hear you.
Is it clear? Then I will continue. Madam,
Yeah,
Yes,
madam,
it is
it
clear. I can hear you properly.
Okay.
Now it is clear.
Now it is clear.
Clear, madam. Everybody is clear my voice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Then I will continue. Okay. Now the next part is piezo sensor and ultrasonic sensor. What we will done in piezo sensor. In piezo sensor, here the pressure will be converted into the electrical signal. Means some signal will be generated by the pressure also. And the ultrasonic sensor, what it will done? It will done by the system of the obstacle detection. Means in front of the sensor, if any obstacle will come, it will give us the detection. See, all those electronic equipments will only just for the using we have used in the real time also. But we will continue it by the embedded electronic system for a far distance. Means the embedded electronics, including with the ultrasonic sensor, will be put it in somewhere in the world, and I will be situated in West Bengal, and I will continue it from here. I will continue it. So I will come to the level one. What is which is the signal processing module? So this is some kind of vast topic which people don't know what is the signal processing modules and what is the exactly doing of those embedded electronic systems. But don't think so much. I will elaborate those topics clearly. So in signal processing modules, the data is coming from the system. The data is coming from the system from the sensors, and the sensor will give the data to Node MCU. At first, I will discuss with the Node MCU. Node MCU is the embedded system which is included with the ESP8266 Wi-Fi module. ESP8266 is doing not it's just a bigger name. It only just doing a Wi-Fi connectivity, and by Wi-Fi connectivity, it will access the internet. So Node MCU is just doing the internet connectivity between the internet server and the sensor. So Node MCU is part done. Now I will come to the UNO plus Wi-Fi R3. So this is a very new embedded electronic system. It is continued with the UNO board, means Atmega 3283 with Node MCU chip, ESP8266, and included with the 32 MB of memory space. 32 MB is a huge space for uploading a code. It will continue much varieties of analog pins, because in Node MCU it will continue with a single analog pin, means a single sensor you can operate from Node MCU. But in Atmega 3280 we will continue with the multiple sensors like that. So UNO plus Wi-Fi R3 is a bigger choice for option for engineers who are doing projects in their colleges or like that. Now we will come to the most robust and vast topic, that is the Raspberry Pi. All the people know that it is a Pi. It will run with the Pi OS, Linux OS, right? No, but it will also doing some robotics part also, because in robotics it contains some GPIO pins. GPIO pins means general purpose input output pins. By these pins we will operate some robotics things, some digital things. Some of the sensor we can also monitor. It will contain some pins like HDMI port. It can access Wi-Fi also. Next we will come to DSP kit. DSP kit is most costlier, not much that part, but it is costlier because we people, normal people, students can't afford that, because DSP will be used in the vast of the robotics companies or vast robot building techniques.
Raktim,
So yes.
yeah, can you be a little slower? Like people are having trouble to catch up with you. Speak slowly, okay?
Okay. Okay, then people can talk. From which part I can start in this slide?
Start from Raspberry Pi again, I think.
Okay, Raspberry Pi. So Raspberry Pi is a compact, small laptop PC in a pocket carryable thing, like, because it contains a 1 GB of RAM, a certain GB of memory space certain GB, because you can put SD cards as much as longer SD card, then your memory will be as much as long. It can contains Wi-Fi module, it can contains LAN port, but it also have GPIO pins, like general purpose input output pins also. What is the exactly doing by the GPIO pins? GPIO pins will take inputs and give outputs also. For that purpose, each pin having a particular numbers. By that number, you have to program it in Python. Why Python? Raspberry Pi is accessible only by Python language. So at first, you must have some basic knowledge in Python, because Python is most easier language in today's market. So by that knowing things, you can access those pins, and by multiple sensors, you can access by Raspberry Pi. By putting catching the data from sensor, you can put the sensor data to cloud by using the Wi-Fi inbuilt in the Raspberry Pi. The next part is the DSP kits. So as I have told, the DSP kits is most costlier because it also contains some filters, some amplifiers, because sometime we can face that some analog signals are not so much stronger that can give accurate data. In some cases, we faced that the signal is so much noisy that our actual data is hidden in that. So we have to filter that. Sometimes we have to amplify the signal. So sometimes we have to make our own filter on by programming. So on that case, we have to use DSP kit. DSP kit is means digital signal processing kits, which process the signal on our needs, on our purpose, which we have to show the data. We will modify the signals. Next, we will come for the DAQ. DAQ is also a kit which is being made by National Instrument. This is a modern thing, not so much people will see it because it's available only in lab also. Because it also contains some analog and digital pins. In analog pins, we can connect the sensors, we can get the data. But at last, in this slide, I will tell that DSP kit and DAC kits are not so much easy to use. It will a little bit hurdle for use of a students, and it's so much costly. Costly around that 30 to 40,000 one board it will. So no need to continue with those. We will continue with NodeMCU, Uno, or Raspberry Pi. So the next slide is with the communication modules, like in level 2. So in communication module, for cost purpose, I have put it two things. That is, first of one is the NodeMCU and second of all is the Bluetooth module. Why I have put it this? Because NodeMCU can solve all our every purposes in our daily life. See, we can see Philips AC, Philips light, Philips fan, which is controlled by phone. You people will wonder that in each of these those electronic devices is put a ESP8266 chip only. Means a Node MCU board is put it there for controlling those from a Wi-Fi. The company is so that those thing is Wi-Fi controlled, IoT controlled, and they are pricing much higher. But this is simple technique, and the Node MCU chip is costing around 200 rupees. Node MCU board itself, but the chip is costing around 120 rupees only. So IoT with Node MCU is a vast and easier technique to use in IoT field. Next is the Bluetooth module. See, in our today's daily life, we see that we will control AC from our home, we will control the light from our home, but it will limited with a distance, right? So a distance is not the IoT's properties. So, but it will continue without without any wire connection. So we can give it a name with IoT. But in my opinion, it is not a proper IoT because IoT means control from a far distance. No distance will be in between those embedded system and those the connectivity system. Now I will come to the level 3. The level 3
Raktim,
is yes.
can you tell us something about applications of DAC kits?
Okay, the application of DAC kits, right? I will go to the DAC kits. Yes, DAC kits. If suppose we have built Lucy like this, if we are doing some more advanced robot like this, then we can use DAC kits, right? DAC kits consisting a Wi-Fi module which have a large range than the Node MCU chip. Okay, which having a large range than Node MCU. It also consists of 5-volt and ground pins, at least 5, which I could remember because there is a much varieties of DAC kits. Some is the Wi-Fi enabled, some is not Wi-Fi enabled. So on that basis, you will get 5-volt and ground pins also. Very much. In engineering purpose, for activating any sensors, 5-volt and ground is most important to activate a sensor. So it will much easier to use the DAC kits. But we are the engineers, right? if we need some 5 volt and ground extra, then we can make a small breadboard in our hand and we will put some wires there. We can make our extra 5 volts. But it will not a industry finished product. It will be prototyped only. Okay. For industry finished product, right? A product, a laptop is in our hand. This is a industry finished product. Like no comments on the finishing. So for that, we have to use that while we are doing signal processing modules in IoT. So I hope it will little bit clearer than previous. So any further question on the previous slides, I can answer.
Hello,
Okay,
Ruktin.
no question. Yes, please.
I was just asking that if there is any way to increase the number of analog pins in Node MCU, like
Okay.
something using like multiplexing or
Yes. But you already given the answer of my mouth. Because we know the concept of multiplexer, right? What is multiplexer exactly doing? Can you please elaborate? If don't, then okay, fine, I will
okay,
elaborate.
it's actually about giving an input and extending to it for further multiple outputs.
Yes, means one is the input pin and other eight. Suppose I have I will working with the 1x8 multiplexer. Then what it will exactly done? It will done with one input pin and no, sorry, one 8 output pin, one 8 input pin and one output pin. Output is connected with the A0 pin with the node MCU or suppose another analog pin. What it will done? It will done by going the from 0 to 8 all analog pins, all input pins, it will go constantly. While it will contacting with pin 1, it will stop contacting with pin 0. While it will pin 2, it will stop contacting with pin 1. Like that, it will send the data to node MCU or any of the embedded electronic system present here.
Actually, I have another question.
Yes.
Here, if you are extending from one analog pins to multiple like 8 analog pins, then
Yes.
you can connect 8 sensors.
Yes.
If you control 8 sensors in 8 different situations, then you can
Yes.
control it, or it will control at once also.
Okay, I understand because you little bit hesitating with the data controlling part, right? Because 8
Right.
sensors, 8 data will come. How can I handle? Right. This is your
Together.
question. Yes, right. This is your question. So as per the 8 data will come while we are doing coding in our Arduino software for Node MCU, we will write the API, right? The API last thing we have to put the analog value. After the API, we will put the analog value. Okay. But in that topic, while we are getting the data from zero sensor, then we can write the code right in this way. While the data is fast data, it will give to the fast API. While the pin of the pin one data, it will catch by the second API. While the pin 3 data, it will hit to the pin third number of API. By this API differentiation, we can control the data controlling part. I hope Roberto you are clear.
Okay, I got it. It's much clearer now.
Okay. Now I continue to the further. So the next is the data logging to server or cloud. The data logging is why it's important to server because we have to visualize in our mobile app or our desktop or our website where we have to see the data. This is the most important part of the visiting data because the sensor is given the data and the data is being pulled by microcontroller. By microcontroller is after that we have to process the data because suppose we are thinking we are doing some projects like LM35 which is a temperature sensor, right? By temperature sensor what we are doing exactly, we are doing some temperature value which we have to collect. Suppose we have in the daytime at the 12 p.m. to 2 p.m, right? While the temperature is peak, and the temperature am taking that today our local temperature is 39 degree. So 39 degrees constant on that time means 12 p.m. to 1 or 2 p.m. In these 2 hours, the temperature is constant. For that constantivity, we don't need to take so much data at one time, because if 39 degree we are collecting, we no need to collect all 39, because we know that in those 2 hours the temperature will constant. For that reason, we have to process the data. And after processing the data means after segregation the data, while we have collecting the 8 sensors data, we have to segregate the data, right? How the cloud will know that it is the temperature sensors data, it is from the ultrasonic sensors data. Cloud will don't differentiate, right? Microcontroller via data processing unit, we have to ensure the data segregation part also. After the API hitting part, the cloud or server will accept the data. Then after in cloud or in website, in server, we have to tabular the data in that way, because we have to visualize the data. For visualization, we will make a tabular form, or we will show a graphical view, or we will alert somebody for some alarming system we have created. So we must have to put some data science or data mining algorithm also on that case. Because see, what we have seen in Google's weather is that our data science, Google is alerting us some weather report also. In while alerting, what it will does, it have collected so much, or a 1 month or a 7 days data enormously in his server, in Google server, and it is continuously inspecting the data. Means in the daytime, what is the exact temperature? In the hazy day, what is the temperature? In some rainy day, what is the temperature? After that, they has been predicting some data. They have put it some sensors. You people will wonder that in our Kolkata, near of Arjikor Hospital, Google has put it a sensor for collecting the data of our eastern India, for collecting the data of our temperature of which we have shown in the Google weather, like in those type. But it is not being put it in everywhere in West Bengal. I am in Medinipur. No, here is no sensor. But Google is collecting by their algorithm that what is the exactly temperature in Medinipur is being that, by using the data of Kolkata situated. So this is the data science part. Now I will show you a thing. It is the our website part. I will just show you the example.
Meanwhile, if the students have any question, they can ask the question. If any question they have.
You people can see that here is a website, right? This website is being created by our team. Okay, this is being hosted. Anybody in this presentation, if you need to see the website, just go and hit this URL I have presented in my presentation. Just hit from your mobile or your browser, you can see the website. This is a website which is being hosted by our team. You can go in the option and just simply click the view data option. You can wonder that here is some data, right? This is our project's data which is being put here. Here I have made some search algorithm where if you doing the name of month, see, you will wonder that here you have got the March data, right? You will got by also those data if we will search by April or time also. You can also see that we have measured the data by secondly also. Means the second, each second we will monitor by our website. This is the IoT. While each second won't be missed. See, with some graphical view. You people, if have any question, then feel free to ask me. See the graph. I will show another magic on that website. After the some website creating part, I will done in my PPT in further slides. Then I will show a magic on that. See, in this slide, we have given that any scientist need to zoom the data, he can zoom that, he can reset that, he can download the chart in that. But I am not showing the properties, but it is the feature of IoT which we have to include in the IoT system. Just like that, a home automation website, just I will like to show that. Everybody is visible, right? My website. Please respond.
Yes.
Yes, the website is that it is the controlling part. Controlling website means if you have to control a home for a far distance, just clicking on off, not the hardware part is connected from my side, so it will not like that. But now the question arises why we don't use Adafruit IO, or why we don't use such like mostly available things in market, right? So this is the difference between the IoT in by our hand and IoT by the ready-made market things in our marketly available things. Because while you are doing some thing ready-made, you won't know what is the basic physics in behind of that. For that, you must have to know the part, the website building. This is the most important part in IoT, in my opinion, because we are doing our project IoT projects from first year, and we are facing that all the participants in many projects that they will do IoT by Adafruit or some IFTTT part. But in my way, build your own website, run IoT, then you will know how the IoT will run. I will discuss what is the website backend work in our website. Okay. So now the most interesting part is machine learning and artificial intelligence in a system, right? You people will wonder that you people will always talk about the machine learning and IoT, right? The IoT is also being connected with the machine learning and artificial intelligence. How it will connect it? I will give you a small example on that. I have previously discussed the topic that the data definition means a huge amount of data in our hand by using the machine learning, by using those various sensors. After that, the data must have to be segregated, because without segregating the data, we don't know which is the data is the temperature and which is the vibration data. So after segregation part, if we have to give some alert to the user, because we have to say that just only the temperature monitor is not our purpose in today's life. We have to predict some output. For that case, we need machine learning. What machine learning says that it clearly told that the data you have in our hand, just predict it minimum 7 days or minimum of 1 month. How much data it will have, please observe the data and give some output. Means if you having the weather of previous 7 days a temperature of 25 degree, then easily you can give the temperature fluctuation of the next future day that is between 25 to 27 degree, not much more, right? If you have put a sensor in near about of Odisha, then you can predict that a thunderstorm will come after 4 or 5 hours in West Bengal. So that is called the prediction. Not the time it will all time accurate, but the prediction is this. This called the machine learning or artificial intelligence. So the application of IoT, in my opinion, is two area in our daily life. That is the home automation. It is the most basic things and mostly available in today's life. And another thing is factory automation, and it also called the IIoT, means Industrial Internet of Things, where factory is being automated by IoT. Means a huge machine, a huge plant, it will be run from a engineer who will be is being seated in lockdown period in his house. He can control the plant output by just clicking some website value, by just clicking a option. He can see the camera footage of his company, his house or factory. So not going much enter because the time is limited. I will going to a direct example of doing something, because here is a paper, a research journal is being published by us. It is the smart agriculture monitoring system using IoT. Here I have given the link. Okay, you people just read the link and read the article, read the journal thoroughly. But I will discuss it now. Why I am choosing the example, because it will be little bit easier while we have learned by example. See, here is a circuit diagram which I have made. In this journal, the same circuit diagram you can see. Here I have used two sensors. You can see it. One is a soil sensor and another is a moisture sensor. One sensor is detecting the moisturization of the sensor, and another is sensing the temperature of the soil. So you people cleared the working principle of the sensor. Now the data is being going to directly to the Arduino Uno board. Why I am using Uno? Because multiplexer connection is not easy, and on that time I have not done with the multiplexer connection. So I am using the serial communication between Uno and NodeMCU. Please mention the point serial communication. Some people have some issues related to serial communication. Please feel free to answer the question if you people have any question on serial communication. So here, what is the output is of this project is by getting those output of the sensors, we are controlling the pump which is being fitted for the watering purpose in paddy field, where the farmer goes in front of 4 a.m. in early morning for padding his field, or in this sunny weather at 2 p.m. while farmer needs to go to his field for watering his field. No need to go, just sat in home with his family and just clicking some website value, he can control his paddy fields water control. How it will possible? Because here is the temperature. By the temperature, our microcontrollers can analyze that the soil is much more increased the temperature and the humidity level is low. So now is the time to flow the pump fully. If the temperature is mediator, means the humidity is not so high, so then the pump will run moderately, and if not much higher, then the pump will operate slowly, or the pump will stop that. And the pump control system and will also be controlled by farmer's phone, means a website or a mobile app is being given to farmers who can control by just sitting on their home. And as far I have seen I have given the example of our website. Farmer can download the graphical representation of his or her paddy field. No need to understand the graphical representation. Just send it to Prestige shops. Just send it to some laboratory. They will give you some suggestion on your paddy field, and just see how IoT can help our farmers to grow their grow their farmers on their production. Here is the data visualization part, which I have shown previously, that here is the huge amount of data. It is a database I can call, which is being done by our team. The database is being collecting the data of volumetric water content. See, the sensor would not give us the volumetric water content. We have to calculate those volumetric water content from those two sensors value. And here we can see by second to second monitoring. Here we can see in the second row, in the third row, 1 hour 26 minutes and 14. It's 1:04 a.m. data, and the second data is 24 seconds data. So we can monitor.
Team, can you explain the graph slide once more?
Okay. The second is the graph slide. Here is the graphical view, right? Why how the graph will plot, that is the major part, and that will not can't able to discuss in 1 hour. But I will give you some idea of the plotting graph. Here, how the graph will plot. See, here some data is being plotted. Here the graph is started. Here the data is at the lower part, means it just starting from 0. Here the humidity, here the temperature of the soil is much higher, and the water content is lower. So the pump must need to flow at its high rate. After some time, it just increase the water content of a foot of image, no sorry, a foot of soil land, and you can see after some time the humidity volumetric water content increased. But after analyzing the whole field, our sensor gives the data that no, it's not fully evaluated. After some time, the data is vastly increased that it can show that the pump now can operate in moderate way or some lower way. Means no much need to fully open the pump, no much need so much water in your paddy field. And after that, the data is finally increased in a peak point is that is 60 to 80 value you can see. Then in that point it is continued the data. Then in that time pump will working stop. Means no need to give water in your land. So if farmer can't understand those positions, the scientist will understand or the pesticide shops will understand those part. And now today's farmer is also smarter, right? They also can understand the graph because the graph is slight easier. The data is come, the data we will calculate by data containering method, we will plotting the graph. So plotting the graph in JavaScript is not easier. For that we make easier process, we have given an example of postman concept. So what is postman concept? Anybody know about it? Feel free to answer. Okay, then I will answer about it. See, postman concept is not is a book name or you people will know. Just getting your just use your general knowledge and you will know that what is postman concept. How the postal system is will work in India. You can know. You will know that you write in the postcard the full address of the senders. Suppose your friend's full address with the pin code, and the postmaster is sending the parcel using those pin number and the address of the sender. After that, the postman is coming to our house and putting the envelope in our house's front post box. After that, some of our houses, father, mother, or our brother, sister will took that postcard and send it to our room. After that, I will come to our home. I can open the postcard and read and take necessary steps what we have to take. So comparing this method, you can see the postcard which you are sending to your friend, that is the sensor, and the post office we can give it a microcontroller, and your friend which whom you have to send the postcard is a server. So accumulate these and you can give a view of IoT that the sensor is collecting the data and it sends the data to microcontroller. Microcontroller is sending the data to server. So server is processing the data and give us the view of the data, how the data is in tabular form or in graphical form, or we have to analyze the data or something else. So this is the postman concept. Regarding this, you can question me. Yes, anybody have any question? No, right? So now I will give an example of HTML forms. Why I have given the example of HTML forms, that is because this is the right way of knowing the IoT, because by getting the by making the form, in that process the data will go from sensor to server. Just we can see by that way. If in meantime, if anybody has any question, please ask.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
How can we perform this IoT in industrial purpose, like in thermal power plants?
Okay. At first, I need to answer. So in thermal power plants, you can see in NTPC or any another thermal power plants, like they also controlling some from far distance. They are not the engineers are going to the fire blasting where the fire is going. They are not going there. They are controlling from a control room, but the control room is connected by where? See, in this purpose, there is some wired connection. Sometimes it happened that there is some data loss is being occurred, or sometimes if one PCB is being getting damaged, then the whole system will be getting damaged for some days for maintenance purpose. On that case, we can put replacing those wireless communication with some those wired communication with some wireless communication also. So on that case, just putting those things with the microcontrollers and Wi-Fi modules for much higher voltage we have to handle, we can use much higher end relays. Okay, that will solve those purpose of using the thermal power plants also. I think your question is clear.
But these microcontrollers will stay in that high temperature because the temperature of power plant is more than normal temperature.
Yeah. Why you are thinking that putting those microcontroller whole embedded system in a thermal blast? Please think in that way that the sensor is being only in the thermal blast, and microcontroller thing is just far away from the blaster. Okay, I hope that
So,
can solve the issue.
in addition to that, just go back to the data acquisition card slide, Rokin, then he will be much clear about that.
Okay.
Data acquisition card slide. See, like in, I'm interrupting. I
No,
cannot
madam,
resist
it's
actually.
okay.
I cannot resist actually the question. Actually, in industry, what is happening? These microcontrollers won't work actually. You are right. These microcontrollers won't work in thermal power plants because the environment is different. In that case, you need to deal with such type of microcontrollers, maybe in Wi-Fi microcontrollers, like we are having data acquisition card, DAQ, by National Instruments. These type of data acquisition cards are suitable for industries. These are high-ended. Okay, so for resisting high temperatures in boilers, such type of microcontrollers are used actually. Okay. So Rokin,
Okay,
you
ma'am. Thank
continue. Yeah.
Okay, now I will go to the demonstration part. See, here I have created a form. I have anybody please go. I have put just one name right here. I have typed a name. Not think that Saurabh I will give so much impression on you. And Saurabh goes. I have typed. I have given the year of second year, and I will just click on the submit button. See, it gives us the output of your data has been submitted. Now we will go to the data sheet. See the magic. The Saurabh goes in second year is in here. So this is the technique how the data will grow from a form to a data sheet. On that way, that this method is working the like the method get and method post. Yes.
ওনাদের ইয়ে যাচ্ছে অনলাইনে দেখাচ্ছে হ্যাঁ ওদের ভিডিওটা অন আছে আমরা ভিডিওটা
Okay. Shall I continue, madam?
Yes.
Okay. So we have seen that it is a form where the method get and method post method is used in HTML methods. By those using methods, while we are submitting any one other name, like I am typing any name, something arbitrary, not arbitrary. I will typing my institute name. And I am changing my code here just right. I am submitting the data. Okay, right. And now I will go see the magic. The Narula Institute and Technology with including fourth year is in our table. So on that method, data from sensor to a website will reach. Why I have shown this example? Because we don't see the magic, because in this case, how the data will go to this page to the datasheet page is like that. Interrogative sign some attributes equals to f name means f name equals to, it will put the your name. If my first name is Roktim, it will give an interruption, because and is the conjunction part of two HTML components. So it will continue with the L name. I will. It is arbitrary name. Website is being built with some another attributes. I will just give you a demonstration. L name equals to Protihar, and it will give year, which is the year value. It will put fourth. It is a drop down box, and after that it will hit enter. So by this method, you can see this is the actual from those whole form which I have created. By this URL, the data will be go to the this tabular format. And the same concept is being used while we are using in as a sensor by coding a Arduino code. Like that, I will give you a live demonstration of an Arduino code. This is an Arduino code of uploading some data to a website. Okay, we can see in that part, this is the SSID, right? In this SSID part, just we have to click our mobile's Wi-Fi name or our broadband's name, and here is the password. Okay, here we have to put our password details, and after that our node MCU or our any embedded electronics will connect with our mobile Wi-Fi or broadband connection. So in this way, our Wi-Fi module will communicate with the server, and some API hitting method we will use for sending the data. See, here I have put the data. Here is the link of putting the data in a website. After the value equals to, every analog read data will be put here, and the data will be in our website. Just see the magic. I know this a little bit harder to understand, but I will try as much as easily I will make it. See, just show on that graph, I have pushing the value of 125. Okay. See, the 125 is being plotted. See, some arbitrary value of data I have taken after 300, and I will push it. See the magic. You can see, right? Everybody visible my this graphing demonstration.
Yes.
Yeah.
If we push some data of 580, some arbitrary data, yeah, it's just plotted. The graph is being monitored by us. The graph is being maintained. See the zoom. Zoom is working. Zoom has been a method has been given. So in this way, what the microcontroller is doing those analog value is just write in a URL. Like the microcontroller will open a website and hitting a URL by using those value equals to, it will write its analog value. What it will get from sensor, and the sensor value is coming to the graph, or we can see our value in view data option. See, the data are here. See the data. You can search the data. See, if I doing the search by this, you can search 19. You can search. So this is a little demonstration of doing how the website part is working, because this is the thing which Adafruit won't tell you. I don't oppose Adafruit, but I will suggest you please go through the website building, then you can understand what is the IoT part. See, in this website URL pushing method, all the Facebook login sign up process or this kind of logging things is will work. Just like getting your user ID and password in URL, and it will push to its database. Matching by those user ID and matching the password, it will open your account. Okay. By that, your Facebook ID, it's working. So here I have put it here. We people have put it some link, the workable links. Here I have put it the W3 schools which can help you to learn coding. The most part is hosting part, right? You people don't ask a question of hosting part. That is being how the website is being hosted. See, it's a free hosting site, is available in 000 Webhost, is being controlled by 000 Webhost hosting their company. Just by clicking free sign up, you will be getting 1 GB of free space. 1 GB of free space is enough to host a huge, wonderful website. Ours is not wonderful, I will just tell. Okay. Then we have pasted a Google Drive link. You people don't take any headache. The links will be provided. The PPT will be provided in future, just after completing the session. Here is the Google Drive link. Here we have kept some ebooks from Microsoft Azure, which we have collected from somewhere else resources, and the link is freely openly open to all. So after that, the part time is conclusion. So I will give special thanks to all the departments of Narula Institute of Technology for such an wonderful environment, and also I won't forget to thanks our Electronics and Instrumentation Engineering department. Also thankful to GIS family for such beautiful environment. Also I conclude by thanking you, and stay home, stay safe. We will surely battle and win this battle. Okay, thank you. Any questions? You will feel free to ask. Feel free to ask.
Now I have a question.
Yes, yes, madam. Madam.
Like, what prompted, what inspired you to make Lucy? And in future, what Lucy, and you know that the human interaction is a problem. Even if everything gets normal, the social distancing will prevail. So how come
Yes.
your Lucy help the society at large?
Ma'am, I will tell that at first. Our Lucy's can do by moving without controlling anyone. It can stop by if any obstacle in front of that. We have also built the image processing system. It can identify any person's face. It can. We also developed that some image processing algorithms also. After that, it had the view that you were seated in from a far distance, and just Lucy will go there. You can view just by clicking a URL from your phone. What is Lucy viewing? You can view by your tab, simply by using your tab or mobile or laptop. And our hand is working in Lucy. For that case, we can also put some handful works on Lucy and put him to work voluntarily in this pandemic situation.
See, like even after everything gets normal, even the hospitals and they need these kind of some kind of operators. So can I appeal you guys to, when the college reopens, can you come up with some other upgraded version of Lucis to help the society at large?
Yes, madam. In this lockdown, we people not stopped our working. We people working in our home for upgrading the Lucy. I won't. We will surely after opening the college, we will assemble whole upgradation in Lucy, and we will show another demonstration of Lucy after reopening the college.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So this is the first session. We are ending the session on IoT. The detailed about how IoT can be implemented, and one small project on IoT. Why they have discussed IoT? Let me emphasize. They have discussed IoT because before going to robotics, one needs to understand IoT. Because robots are autonomous nowadays, they need to be operated remotely. So for that, IoT is very important to learn first. So IoT, we have during the presentation, we have made you to learn about IoT, and for any questions if you have, you can feel free to ask at any time After the webinar also, you can contact us and learn about IoT, and you can come to our laboratory also. So in the next session, I will hand over the next session about the much awaited session on robotics. So hello, Orko, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
So Orko will take over the robotics session. He will start with basic robotics, so manual robots to autonomous robots, underwater robots, and the line follower robots and land rovers. These all the types of robots, and finally human-made robots or humanoid robots. That's a short idea about Lucy, how we have made. So the session I hand over to Orko.
Thank you, ma'am. I would request to Ruktim, please move your screen so I can share my screen.
Okay.
Thank you, Ruktim. So I think everyone is ready. So I am starting sharing my screen. Is it visible to everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
You can
Yes,
full screen.
visible.
Okay. So before going to robotics, I would like to say a very good evening to everyone. Hope you all are doing well in this quarantine session. So I am Orko Majumdar from the Electronics and Instrumentation Department. I will guide you throughout the second session of this webinar, Basic Robotics and IoT. So I think you hope understand what is IoT, what is Internet of Things, and how it is implemented, and it is very well discussed by Ruktim Pratihar, one of my fellow mates. And so now you will know what is robotics, and I will very much thankful to everyone because it is my privilege to become a mentor of this Mentee Become Mentor program. So here you are seeing a video, a short video. Everyone know this is what is this? This is Wall-E, a most famous film on robots or science fiction movie on robots. So now we are moving. We are jumping to a. Before jumping into something, I would like to give you the basic idea how our session will goes. So here I am Orko Majumdar, and I am sharing this session with another my mate, Demallo Sadhukan. So here is the guideline, how we do this total webinar. So this is the first chapter I will discuss to you, that is introduction and history of robotics. So before that, I will discuss you the classification of robots. Like our respected ma'am says that I am going to discuss you how to build manual robots, and I will give you some idea about different type of autonomous robot, from underwater robots to humanoid. So here I have classified some part of robots. In the next chapter, the making chapter of manual robot, I will discuss the entire process of making a manual robot from the scratch. And in the fourth chapter, we will going to I will give you some idea what is autonomous robot, which are autonomous robot, and how can we classify autonomous and semi-autonomous robots, what are their classification, and how we make, what are their components, everything. And the last thing, the most interesting part and the huge achievement of my entire robotics career, that the Lucy, the humanoid bot that we have developed. So I hope you will also enjoy this session. And now I am start with my first slide, that is the introduction part of robotics. So I'd like to ask you everyone, those who are present here, do you have any idea what is robotics? Because everyone knows that what is robot, but I think there should be, everyone is clear about the idea what is robotics. So before going to the robot, I would like to give you the idea what is robotics. Robotics actually is nothing but an interdisciplinary research that involves every type of engineering streams. Like from making the outline of a robot to make it work, from the electronics part to the mechanical part, every engineering is involved in an entire engineering that is known as robotics engineering. So how the robotics engineer is here. So in the year of 1948, the American mathematician and the philosopher Norbert Wayne, who has proposed the first idea of cybernetics. This cybernetics is a very much interesting topic which led us in the modern days that we known as machine learning. This is the first principle what is proposed. Actually, we think that this is the first principle of machine learning, that is the cybernetics. But the first industrial robot is Unimate, which is developed by in the year of 1950. Another also American industrialist who built this robot, but this robot come into action in the year of 1961 in the year of 1961. So it will help to carry the sheets and stack them properly. So this is the basic introduction and the basic history of the robotics and the first robots and its history. Now I am going to move the classification section. So we can classify robots, first of all, manual robots, which are looking like this. You have seen the picture here. The robots which are involve human being to control it, we are known them as manual robots. Okay, the second part of the robots are semi-autonomous robots. They also involve human, but they have not directly connected with human being. We can control this type of robot from remote area. And here comes the idea of IoT from controlling these robots from a remote location. They are semi-autonomous robots. And here are a few semi-autonomous robots. You all have heard about the most interesting project recent days, that is the gesture control robots. Actually, the gesture control robots are the semi-autonomous robots. And the third part of the robots are autonomous robots. That is nothing but the fully autonomous robots which are programmable and which are particularly initialized for doing a particular task. So here I am going to start the making procedure of manual robots. If you have any queries, you can feel free to ask. So before we going to making a manual robot, we have to need to get some idea about its components. So there are some basic components we required for making a manual robots. That is chassis, DPDT switch, switch box, motors, and some connecting wires and a power supply. So after these all things we have gathered, we have to do another thing, that is the making connection of DPDT switch. DPDT switches are mostly common switch. I have discussed it in later, and I have also shown you how to make the connection between DPDT switches and how to build them. I have the full demonstration in later. So, and next we have to join the motor with the chassis, because motor are the very important part for the manual robots, and it will help the manual robots to move in every direction. And so motor is also a very important part for manual robots. The next thing we have to do is we will establish connection between motors and the switches. We have to control the motors through the DPDT switch. So we have to we have to connect the motors with the DPDT switches. I have also shown the connection of motors with the switches in the another slide. And we will now, the most important thing, that if we don't check the polarity of the motor, then it can move in any direction. So it will make a hazardous situation. So we have to check the polarity of the motor before finalize our robots. And now we'll have to add the power supply, because power supply is very much important for moving the robots. And now I will give you some basic idea about these components. So the first components, so I divided the components as per needs. there are some basic components which are required for manual robots as well as semi-autonomous robot as well as autonomous robots. The first components of these basic components list is chassis. Chassis is nothing but a framework that holds entirely motors and everything, your microcontroller and everything, like a car. The car has an outlet body that will that actually helps to attach everything within it. That is the chassis. And here are some pictures of available chassis. These chassis are very much available in the market, and the chassis is very important for manual robots because the manual robots are made built for different types of competition and to overcome different types of obstacles, right? So for that reason, if your chassis has been not prepared properly, you can face some problems. The next basic components is power supply. Power supply is very much important for any kinds of robotics. The power supply is depending upon the selection of your motors. I will discuss about the motor section in the next slide, but before, after choosing the motors, you have to give attention in the power supply. For autonomous robots, we can use battery and we can use different types of batteries. Here I am showing you the LiPo battery, but we can also use our pencil battery with the battery adapter. And as per your the requirement of your motor, you have to select your power supply board. And another, the best power supply I think for the manual robot is the variac, the voltage variac. The next thing is motors. Motors are like the heart of robots. If we want to move it forward or backward or in any direction, we need to give attention on the robots, on motors. But before choosing the motors, we have to know what are the factors that might cause problem after choosing the wrong motors. That is the weight of chassis. The material of the chassis you are using is depends the it's actually amplify the weight of that chassis. If you are using a metal chassis and that is quite heavy, and if you take a motor of a toy, that will not make that chassis to move. You have to choose the motors as per your requirement. The next is the obstacle. The obstacle you want to overcome through the manual robot. If you require only high torque, then you have to select a motor which provide you the high torque. Next things is how the motor will be selected. Here are three different types of motors. In the first two, there are the geared motors, which are basically used in every robotics. In basic robotics, the first two geared motors are used, and the last one is Johnson motor, that is also used for robotics, but that Johnson motor is actually a brushless motor, and it will provide you the high torque. Another important thing of robotics is its wheels or its legs. Like wheels work as our legs. If we attach motor chassis and if we don't give it a wheel, it will not going to move anywhere. So wheel is very important, and you can choose a wheel as per also your requirement. If you have to overcome obstacles, I would like to prefer the Caterpillar wheels. The image is shown in the third picture. That wheels are Caterpillar wheels, and it gives a help. It helps you to overcome the obstacle easily because of their long grip. Now I would like to share the another two components which are required for manual robots. That is the switch box. Switch box is nothing but a plastic case which will help to hold the switch, and another thing is DPDT switch. DPDT switch is nothing but the double pole double throw switch. It has two inputs and four outputs. So when we press the switch, the four outputs will connected simultaneously, and when we leave the switch, the four outputs are disconnected from each other. From the next slide, I will discuss how the DPDT switch, how to build the connection of DPDT switch. And here is a diagram that will show how DPDT switch looks like. This is the switch which can move backward and in forward direction simultaneously. So let's guess this is the backyard of the, that is a pin diagram of a DPDT switch. Let's guess it. So in the previous slide you have already shown, look carefully in the back diagram there are 6 pins of the DPDT switch is already available. So here I also draw a diagram of 6 pin which I have count like this. The left top one pin will be the 1 and the right top one will be the 6, and the counting will goes by as shown as the images. So now what I am going to do, I am going to make the connection between them, because in this switch there is no connection. There is no connection, not in between them or neither in each one of them. So now I am going to establish a connection. So the first thing I have to do, I have to make a crisscross connection. Actually this is nothing a connection, but these connections are look like crisscross. That's why I name it crisscross connection. So what I have to do, I have to connect the number 4 pin with the number 1 and number 3 pin with the number 6. So it will make a proper crisscross, just like this. This is how I build the crisscross connection. Now after building the crisscross connection, I have to attach the two switch with each other. Here is no connection of the switch in between them. Now first I build the connection only inside a switch, not in two switch. Now I have to build the connection between these two switch. So what I did, I have to short the pin as per this diagram. After the shorting this pin, I have to add the power supply for generating the power throughout the switch and control the robots. So I add the power supply in the pin number 3 and pin number 4. So you can add the power supply also in pin number 2 and pin number 5 after shorting them each other, or in pin number 1 and pin number 6, whatever you want. And this is the final slide, how we connect the motors with the DPDT switches. There is the 2 pin which is available free, so I connect the motor in that 2 pins, that is 2 and 5. Now I will show you a video demography where you will get the clear idea of this DPDT switch and how the manual ports move. So just look the video carefully. Have you seen that the switch is pressing forward and the motors were moving forward, and when they are pressed backwards, the motor was also moving backwards. Now if you press one switch upwards and another switch downwards, then your robots will turn left or right, as per showing in this video. I hope you all understand the manual robot parts, because this is the end of the manual robot part. Before I going to continue the autonomous part, I would like to ask you, have you any problems about understanding this manual robot section, or I can move to the autonomous part?
Hello Arkoda, I am Hironangshu from first year.
Okay.
So my question is, if we want to rotate all the wheels independently, so what will be the connection in the DPDT switch?
All the wheels independently?
Yes.
Means one motor at a time?
Yes. So in that case, we will be able to handle it in the DPDT switch, or we should
actually
any other?
Actually the connection I am showing here, it's only built for only one motor. And building this type of connection, you can control one switch at a time, and you can also control 2 motors from one switch also at a time.
Okay, so in this DPDT switch, we cannot control all the wheels independently.
All the wheels independently means, what do you want to ask? Means all the wheels independently means what? I'm not getting your question actually.
He is asking that can you control each wheel? That means like left side one wheel with one controller,
Yes, yes,
with
yes,
one
yes,
switch.
yes.
No, that will not possible with DPDT switch. No.
Okay, okay, okay.
Either you have to control the entire one side from a switch or just a single motor.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
And in any other question? Any other question? So I think I can move forward, right? Hello.
Yes, you can move forward.
Yes, you can move.
Okay. Now I am going to show you how autonomous robots works and how to build these autonomous robots. So apart from the basic components, there are 4 components that are required to build autonomous robots. That components are the first components. So first we have to know why we have to build the autonomous robot. We have to build the autonomous robot for doing some particular work. Like if I want a robot which will go and which will identify the fire and then it work as a fire extinguisher, then I have to program it like that. Or if I want a robot that will only follows the line, I have to program a robot like that. That is the autonomous robot. That robots are independent for a particular work, and no human controls actually required after programmed it. So the components we require for programming this type of robots, that is the microcontroller, and most commonly known as Arduino Uno. And the next things the very important things of the autonomous robots is a motor driver. Motor driver is nothing but a integrated circuit which helps motor and which builds the connection of motors and the microcontroller to move it forward or backward. And after adding the motor driver, we have to build the connection of motor driver and the microcontroller very carefully. I have already shown the connection of motor driver and the microcontroller in another slides, and I will show you that also. So here are some basic types of autonomous robots that we can actually build, or we also develop this kind of robots in our lab. The first things is line following robot. The line follower, those who are interested in robotics, they already heard about this thing, that line follower events also held in our. Yes.
There is a question. Someone wants to ask that if you want to move independently a motor, then what type of switch box or what type of switch we can use?
For independent movement, what do you want to do with your motors? Like if it will only go forward, you can use normal switch. Or if you want your motor go forward and also come backward, then you have to use DPDT switch with only single motor connection. So what I want to know what you want to do with your motor.
Deepanjana, please specify your questions, please.
Hello, Deepanjan, are you there? Can you specify the question? What you want to ask? You can ask directly. Means what you want to tell actually? Yeah, you can say. You can say. Yeah,
You can
tell.
speak in any language.
Deepanjana, yeah, you can say.
আমি বলতে চাইছি যে যদি ম্যানুয়াল বটের চাকাগুলোকে আমি মানে ইন্ডিপেন্ডেন্টলি মানে রাউন্ড কিংবা অন্য মুভমেন্টে ঘোরাতে চাই, তো সেক্ষেত্রে আমি কি মানে সুইচ বক্স ইউজ করব?
Okay, if you want to move it in left side or in a circular way or anything, you have to press the switch up, one switch upwards and another switch downwards. Then it will move as per the direction you require. Suppose you want to make it a drift. Okay, so you have to press continuously the upward of a switch and the downward of another switch. So the 4 motor will continuously drift or circulate in a circular motion.
আর যদি মানে যে কোনো একটা চাকাকে এই সাইড কিংবা ডান সাইড কিংবা বাম সাইড ঘোরাতে চাই, তো সেক্ষেত্রে কিভাবে সেটা করব?
Look, our motor will going forward when the polarity of the every 4 motors are same. When they are all in forward direction, the motor will go forward. If you make a motor polarity forward and if you make another 2 motors polarity in backward, then your robot automatically turn left, or it will automatically turn into right.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Yes. Okay, now I am also continuing this slide. So there are several types of autonomous robot. The first one is line follower, I have already discussed. The second one is obstacle avoider. Anyone want to ask anything? Okay, the next autonomous robot is the obstacle avoider robot, and we know all about ultrasonic sensor, which will sense the obstacle from a distance and it will control the robot as per it senses the obstacles. The third one, which I am showing here, is the sound detector robot, and it will move according to the sound source. It will sense it. The next robot is edge detector robot. If you want to make your robot balance properly, you have to use this function of edge detection, because if your robot is not able to detecting some edge, it will go to fall or anything will happen with your robots. The next robot I am showing is what I am saying, that is the fire tracker robot. The robot will follow the fire source and move accordingly towards the fire source. The next robot is the light following robot. Using LDR, we can make a robot which will follow a light. So these are the different types of autonomous robot. There are also some various types of autonomous robots. Now we will going to learn how to build these autonomous robots and what are the components we have to require for making this type of autonomous robots. So the first components that we require for making the autonomous robots, that is a microcontroller. Microcontroller is like a small computer which have compact memory for caching a program and perform as per the program directed to it. The next things for autonomous robot and the very important thing, that is the sensor. See what the sensor would do. Sensor will sense the physical parameter and give the feedback to the microcontroller as per changing its resistance. The next thing, that is another important thing for the autonomous robots, that is the motor driver. The motor driver will help to driven the motor from taking a signal from the microcontroller. And the number 4 is the controller for semi-autonomous robot. We use this type of controllers for controlling the semi-autonomous robots. Now I am discuss about this microcontrollers part. So here, what is the microcontroller? Microcontroller is a small computer on a single IC. We all know that the microcontroller we are commonly used in our every project, that is Arduino Uno. But Arduino Uno is a microcontroller which use the Atmega IC, Atmega chip as its microcontroller. Arduino is the name of the company which is building this board. And Ruktim, in its IoT session, you also heard about the controller that is known as NodeMCU, which has special features of internet connectivity or Wi-Fi features inbuilt. And this is a picture of Arduino, and this is the NodeMCU. So the next part is sensor. I hope you all know about sensors, and sensors is a subsystem which actually helps to sensing the natural parameter and send the feedback by changing its resistance or generating some voltage. So the sensor which are used in autonomous robots that always changing its resistance so that we can understand that there is a change in the resistance, that means there is a change in the physical parameter. If we use an ultrasonic sensor to measure distance, when it will come closer to any obstacle, it will changes its resistance. Its resistance value become high or as per we program. So there are different types of sensor we know. There is ultrasonic sensor for sensing obstacle or measuring distance. There are IR sensor or infrared sensor for this is also using for sensing lights, and there are LDR light detecting resistor which will perform as per which is changing its resistance as per in presence of light. And there are various types of proximity sensors. There are different kinds of sensors, sound sensors, different kinds of sensors are there, temperature sensors. And the another important thing is the motor driver. So we cannot connect the motor properly. We cannot connect motor directly with the microcontrollers, because the microcontrollers generates the output of 5 volt, and the motors which are actually used in this type of robotics or in autonomous robots, that required minimum 9 volt of power. So we cannot able to connect the motor directly with the microcontroller. So we have to using a subsystem which will help to generate the proper power towards the motor, as well as taking the proper signal from the microcontrollers. That subsystem is known as the motor driver. Motor driver is nothing but the integrated circuit which is only designed to control the motor. There are several types of motor drivers. There are several types of industrial motor drivers, but here I am only going to discuss about the DC motors, because in robotics we maximum use the DC motors, and the most common DC motors drivers is L298N. And before L298N, there is also a motor driver called L293D, but the 298N overcomes some problems of 293D, and it is more advanced now. So we are now using this L298N. So here is the image of L298N, and here is the connection image of the motor driver with the Arduino board. And we have to connect the motor driver's input pin with the digital pin of Arduino, and we have to program as per the work we want to do with our motors. And there are two output pin. From these two output pin, we can control at least 4 motors at a time. So for the semi-autonomous robots, there is a few things which is very important apart from this autonomous section, microcontrollers and all. There is its controller. When we will make some robot that we have to control it from a remote location, or we have to perform a work, but we cannot physically present in the spot of the robot is placed. So we have to use some semi-autonomous connection, and by which we control that robot is called controllers. There are few controllers, that is Bluetooth control and transmitter receiver control. So basically what the transmitter receiver will work, transmitter is is in our hand, and the receiver is connected with our microcontroller. The receiver will getting the signal from transmitter, and as per it's getting the signal, it will also inform the microcontroller to do the as per work. So here is a short video about the different types of autonomous robot that we have built in our lab, and I will play it. So before moving to the humanoid part, I would like to ask everyone that there is any question or there is any confusion about autonomous robots or anything.
Hello, Orkoda.
Yes.
The you said about sensors like ultrasonic sensor and LDR.
Yes.
Can you clarify me about the working of digital and analog sensors? I mean, where to use the digital sensors and where to use the analog sensors?
Okay. What digital sensors and analog sensors, right?
Right.
Okay.
Suppose I'm giving you an example. In many sensors, I have seen that there are two modes: analog mode and digital mode.
Okay.
And yes, and I want to know that in which application we can use the digital mode and where we can use the analog mode and how it is working. That's it.
Okay, look, the sensor we are using here, ultrasonic sensor or LDR, that's all a digital sensor, right? So these sensors are used for doing different type of work, like the LDR will sense the light, or ultrasonic will sense the, or will measure the distance. They are all one kind of. They are all digital sensors. But if it's come for the analog part, then we have to uh, use it like we have that analog detection pin in our Arduino boards, that there are some analog pin we can connect through it. Otherwise, we have to use analog to digital converter to use it via controller, via this microcontroller. Is it clear to you?
It more or less.
Actually, the actually sensor output can be electrical or non-electrical. It is not like digital or analog. Sensor output can be electrical or non-electrical. If you're dealing with electrical output can be voltage or current. And if you're dealing with non-electrical output, it can be resistance, capacitance, inductance. These are the non-electrical output. So what Orko is telling, these ultrasonic sensors, they are generating electrical output. That means they are giving you voltage output, which is analog in nature. And you have ADCs, analog to digital converters, to convert that analog output voltage into digital output voltage. Okay, so actually sensor is always generating the analog voltages, maybe electrical or non-electrical parameter. So you need ADC, analog to digital converters, for converting that analog output to the digital mode for the processing boards. Okay.
Right, ma'am.
Yeah. Continue.
So now I am going to move the.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, why L2918 is known as a H-bridge motor driver?
Okay. So actually, look, every motor driver is performed with different types of circuit, but our L219 will follow the H bridge. So H bridge is a electronic circuit that switch the polarity of voltage applied to the load. These circuits are often used because they in this H bridge there are particular there is hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So in H bridges allows to DC motor run as per their polarity. So H bridge is more stable circuit. That's why it is used in L2980.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Any other question? Is there any other question? Hello.
Continue. They will ask in the chat box if you have.
Okay.
Please continue.
Okay. So now I am moving forward that the first humanoid robot from this state that developed by our electronics and instrumentation department, and I am glad to say that I am also a part of that thing. That is our very own humanoid robot, Miss Lucy. So Miss Lucy can do different kind of works because it's the most advanced robot that we have built ever. So here is some basic features which are also implemented in Lucy. The basic features is it is the ability to walk and talk. It can walk and it can talk. It can interact with the human beings. As the question it asked to the Lucy, it will answer by searching it on Wikipedia immediately in a fraction of seconds. And the Lucy have a vision of camera which we can see through a URL. By clicking on the URL, we can see what it is looking in the in his front, or it can identify the things in front of it or people in front of it. So we have implemented the most recent part of artificial intelligence and the image processing in these robots, and it's also used as a chat box too. So these are the basic features of our very own humanoid robot Lucy, and we are looking forward to make it more advanced by adding some another features. And here is the main image of our Lucy, which will inaugurate our Kritansh 2020 this year. And I hope you all are present there and seeing how it works and its function. So now I am going to move in another slide where some newspaper reports come out on Lucy. I have show you some glimpse of that. And here are some newspaper cuttings. Here are some newspaper cuttings that that's for that all published in different types of newspaper all over the West Bengal, and these are the newspaper clips. I would like to say that my session has come to an end. Thank you very much for listening me, and I would like to thank everyone, especially my HOD ma'am and all the respected teachers are over here. And I would also like to thanks to Narula Institute of Technology to giving me this opportunity, and my department and my fellow mates for helping me through this entire process. If you have any question, you can feel free to ask.
Yes, students, participants, you can ask questions now. Whatever on IoT or on robotics, you can ask questions. You can remove the slide. Then they can ask.
Hello, Orkoda.
Yes.
Orkoda, I want to ask one question regarding Lucy.
Yes.
My question is, how are you interfacing the voice recognition module with server that, for example, if I ask something to Lucy, how is she answering it? Like, how are you interfacing these two things?
Actually, we will not interfacing with any server. Actually, there is a function, and we developed that function to that search option that it will you will say, it will capture that voice and it will search on the Wikipedia. So if there is the internet availability to the Lucy, it will always search it through Wikipedia and it will generate the answer what's written over the Wikipedia. We will not connecting Lucy with any servers.
Okay. Okay, okay, that's it.
Any more questions on robotics? How to make manual robots or autonomous robots? Any more questions? So this is a very nice session, Orko. You have given a very informative and thorough knowledge about robotics from basic level 0 to the end of Lucy, how we have made the Lucy. So very nice presentation. And maybe students are having some queries at their mind, like how to build the, how to configure the sensors, how to configure the embedded boards. So these questions are obvious. Because these subjects are like that, if you're not doing practically, so everything will go above the head. So to understand the subject, you need to actually handle the hardwares. So I will suggest the students just play with the hardware. Whatever you have a Arduino, have a Raspberry Pi, use some sensors, whatever sensors you want. We have enough material over internet, use those materials and play with the items. Then some new concepts will come regarding projects, so what you can do with robotics. So thank you very much to all the mentors today. So I am the mentee and you all are the mentors, and we all are the mentees today. So thank you very much. And yes, of course, Lucy, what we have built in very short period, and that was just basic. So we will definitely come up with some new applications of Lucy. So all the students are welcome with the questions are welcome to us. You can ask question to us. You can come to our labs where we do all the robotics work. You can come to our lab also, and you all are welcome there. So madam, Nidhi madam.
Thank you, the entire Department of Electronics and Instrumentation Engineering. I was just wondering how come these students are so curious and so innovative all the time. So today I got it, madam. It's all because they are playing with the hardware. And when the mentor is this way, then the mentee definitely are going to rock. So this is the reason we see this Electronics and Instrumentation Department is always in a rocking ahead, and they're always experimenting with the products, they're coming up with the innovation. So thank you, the entire team of Electronics and Instrumentation, for this wonderful initiative. And thank you, Narula, for thank you to Electronics and Instrumentation for helping Narula to organize such a wonderful session. So thank you so much.
Thank you all. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
So we can end the
Thank you,
session. We can
You
end
can
the
also
session.
take the feedback form, ma'am, with all the
Yes.
participants.
Yes, you
So
can
that-
write the feedback.
So after the session, share the feedback form so they can come up with the new ideas, and if they have any question, they can come up with you.
Yes, definitely, definitely. You are all are welcome.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.